Having opened a store in Kunshan for so long, I have never been so anxious. Suddenly, in 2024, there are only very few people today. In the second half of 2023, it was fine. But now there are fewer and fewer people on the streets. I wonder if you found it. Please take a look at the number of professionals gathered in front of the Boyuet Computer Market, but none of them have found a job. This is the current situation in the market. China's economic development is weak, and the room for officials to make profits is also decreasing. Therefore, the CCP has expanded its use of false accusations and wrongful convictions to profit from them. And this method has now been extended to Taiwanese and foreign investors. Recently, Chinese police detained 4 Taiwanese executives working at Foxconn in Zhengzhou for accepting bribes. Foxconn, a unit of Taiwan's Hanhai Group, is a major supplier of Apple phones. The Foxconn incident is just the tip of the iceberg. China is currently experiencing high economic, political, and legal risks. Many Taiwanese business people have clearly understood the situation and have relocated their companies from Zhengzhou, Kunshan, and other places. Today, we will discuss the topic of Taiwanese business people withdrawing from China. But before we do, we would like to encourage you to subscribe. Your support is our greatest motivation and helps us bring you more valuable content. Now, moving on. These 4 Foxconn executives have not returned to Taiwan for over 9 months since January. The police accused 2 of them of misappropriating funds at will because they found no evidence of bribery. The 4 executives were initially under residential surveillance in a designated residence for 3 to 6 months. Later, they were turned into suspects and have been detained in a detention center for more than 3 months. Some Foxconn employees in China revealed to the family members of the Taiwanese executives that the entire incident was framed by local people and the Chinese public security team to create a false case and profit from it. It's unclear exactly what led to their arrest. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council quoted Hanhai's statement saying that these employees did not harm the company's interests and the company did not report the case to the Chinese Communist Party's public security. The charges against them were weird. The Mainland Affairs Council stated that this incident may have been caused by the abuse of power by some local police, which has seriously damaged corporate confidence, and called on the Chinese Communist Party to investigate and deal with it as soon as possible. Foxconn currently has 28 major factories worldwide, 7 located in China. The Zhengzhou factory operates the world's largest Apple assembly plant, the Apple City. At its peak, the Zhengzhou factory employed 350,000 workers. In 2016, the park produced 258 million smartphones, half of which were Apple phones. In recent years, the Chinese Communist Party authorities have used various excuses and names to suppress foreign companies. With the Sino-US trade war, rising labor costs in China, and economic deterioration, foreign companies have withdrawn from China. The same goes for Foxconn, which has moved aggressively to Vietnam and India. Due to Foxconn's withdrawal in the first quarter of this year, Hernan's mobile phone export volume plummeted 61% year-on-year and 23% in the same period. Let's examine how important Foxconn is to Zhengzhou. Zhengzhou Foxconn is the world's largest Apple mobile phone production base, and about 80% of the world's iPhones are produced annually. First of all, in terms of foreign trade, Zhengzhou Foxconn has become the king of foreign trade in Hernan since its establishment. The cumulative import and export volume has long accounted for about 60% of the entire Hernan province and 80% of Zhengzhou. In the first 3 quarters of 2022, Hernan can achieve a total foreign trade import and export value of more than 87 billion, and be the strongest in the central region for 10 consecutive years due to Zhengzhou Foxconn. Let's talk about employment. Although Hernan is a province with a large population, its educational resources are very poor. The ultra-low college entrance examination acceptance rate has resulted in many low-end talents, and Foxconn has created hundreds of thousands of jobs in Hernan. In addition, Foxconn has promoted the development of upstream and downstream industrial chains. Preliminary estimates indicate that Foxconn has created more than 1 million jobs in Hernan, and behind these 1 million people are more than 1 million families. I want to ask which company can fill the industry gap of millions of people. Some people on the internet say that Foxconn's wages are not high. Is it that important? This is a cognitive misunderstanding. Generally speaking, Foxconn's wages are above average among Chinese factories. An ordinary employee can earn $630 a month. With bonuses added during the busy season, they can get $1,000 a month. What Foxconn brings is not just the export numbers on the table. These are explicit and can be seen at a glance. In fact, Foxconn's value to Zhengzhou is definitely more than this. Its strong influence will drive the maturity of Zhengzhou's industrial supporting facilities because Foxconn's arrival in Zhengzhou has improved the foundation of electronics-related industries. Why are the status of the Pearl River Delta and the Yangtze River Delta stable? It's because they have a solid industrial foundation. Because of the arrival of Foxconn, related upstream and downstream industry supporting companies have continued to take root in Zhengzhou, and this invisible driving effect is even more difficult to estimate. Since the new iPhone 16 started pre-sales on September 13th, it will be officially released on September 20th. Foxconn, which once withdrew from China, has become active in the mainland Chinese market. In April, it began recruiting highly paid workers in Zhengzhou, attracting many young people to apply. Foxconn has increased its employees' hourly wages from $3 in June to $3.65 since the end of July, and has also increased bonuses for employees who have worked for 90 days from $700 to more than $1,123. There are long queues of applicants outside Foxconn Zhengzhou Science and Technology Park every day. 90% of them can pass and successfully join the job. The main job is to assemble Apple mobile phones with Apple mobile phone parts. Because Foxconn has low technical barriers to entry, a high interview pass rate, and most importantly, relatively good wages, many young people are willing to work at Foxconn. Many people say that young people would rather deliver food than enter a factory, but Foxconn has slapped these people in the face. It's not that young people are unwilling to join factories, but that the treatment other factories offer is too low. Zhengzhou Foxconn recruited 50,000 people in 2 weeks because of the good salary of $3.50 per hour. If you usually work for 8 hours, you can earn $28 a day. Overtime pay is calculated separately. Weekday overtime work is 1.5 times, and overtime work on holidays is 2 times. After working for 3 months, you can get a one-time bonus of $1,000. In addition, Foxconn provides good food, guaranteed wages, and social security benefits. It won't give you a penny less. I dare say that these conditions can exceed 90% of domestic factories. But having said that, why did Foxconn, which had wanted to withdraw from mainland China a few years ago, suddenly change its mind and return? Today, I will talk about some of the reasons for this. We all know that Foxconn's employment method is called flexible employment. When a big order from Apple comes, Foxconn rushes to recruit people. Just like now, it recruits 50,000 people in 2 weeks. It shows that Apple has given a lot of orders and must rush out Apple's orders and not miss Apple's sales season. Regarding Foxconn's return to China, many Chinese media outlets, including Little Pink, laughed and said that Foxconn had returned in despair because Vietnam and India could not catch up with China's technological level. However, analysts believe returning to Zhengzhou should only be part of Foxconn's global strategy and a risk diversification strategy for multinational companies. It does not mean that Foxconn is optimistic about China's investment environment. Foxconn reopened a factory in Zhengzhou to manufacture Apple mobile phones. This strategy allows Foxconn to avoid betting on the same basket of product quality, compare the yield rates of China and India, and adjust to achieve a competitive effect. This is consistent with Apple's strategy in the past when it used TSMC and Samsung chips to compare yield rates. Foxconn has invested in India for many years and is preparing a headquarters for research and development operations. It is planned to enter semiconductor manufacturing through joint ventures with Indian companies thrice. Therefore, returning to Zhengzhou should be just one part of Foxconn's global layout. The unemployment rate among Chinese college students is very high. Many college graduates also go to work at Foxconn because they would like to have a job, so they are not against working in factories. Everyone has discovered that today's college students are becoming less and less valuable and caught in large numbers on the factory assembly line. Some fresh graduates have been looking for a job for a long time but can't find a suitable one, so they have no choice but to work in a factory to turn the screws. There is no other way. This is what an employment environment like this is. Living is the most important thing. Foxconn recently moved to Vietnam and India, greatly impacting Hernan's imports and exports. As the economic confrontation between the US and China intensifies, the supply chain has set off a wave of de-China. Many Taiwanese and foreign companies have chosen to withdraw from China, and Kunshan City, a city under Suzhou City in Zhengzhou province, has been greatly affected. Kunshan City is known as Little Taipei because it has the highest concentration of Taiwanese business investment in China. Taiwanese companies support 30% of Kunshan's GDP, helping Kunshan develop from a small agricultural county into the strongest prefecture-level city in China. As of 2020, more than 5,300 Taiwanese companies and about 100,000 Taiwanese have settled in Kunshan. But this is all changing. Taiwanese media have reported that 1/3 of Taiwanese businessmen have left Suzhou, and the remaining 2/3 have also transferred part of their production capacity. In response, China's Taiwan Affairs Office refuted the report as untrue. However, a businessman named Chen told Taiwanese media that some factories are still there, but the bosses have left. 30 years ago, the Beijing authorities announced reform and opening up, and China's low production costs attracted many Taiwanese businessmen to enter the mainland. The competition between the United States and China is intensifying, and many foreign companies are worried about geopolitics. At the same time, China's labor and land costs are rising, and the Chinese Communist authorities are still increasing taxes. These have prompted many Taiwanese businessmen to choose to leave Kunshan. Many stores on the once bustling streets have either been closed or are being transferred. It's said that Kunshan's population has decreased by nearly 1 million from the beginning of 2024 to today. This is such a scary figure, a decrease of almost 1/3. In the past, there were huge crowds of people here on Renmin Road. Look here, where's the once prosperous scene? Finding a shop here was hard, but many places have posted it for sale. When I saw this, I was anxious because our industry is linked to population. With a large population and a good economy, naturally, more people will decorate. Housing prices in Kunshan have also fallen with the economic downturn.
70%的房屋下跌，坑惨了所有买房的人。
The price drop of 70% of houses has hurt all home buyers. Last year, a 138 square meter house was sold for $435,000, but now it can be bought for $220,000. The new Kunshan building is right at the subway entrance. The 2 rooms, 72 square meters, purchased in 2017, cost $170,000. Plus taxes and fees of $180,000. Now it's listed for $100,000 and can't be sold. It's not even enough to pay the mortgage interest for so many years. I am currently located in Qianding Town, Kunshan City, Jiangsu Province, just across the road from Shanghai. When the housing price in this area reached its peak, the price of a new house reached $2,800 per square meter. Now it has dropped to $1,400, a relative drop of 50%. It used to be that when house prices rose, everyone was still in the mood to buy. Since house prices have dropped in the past 2 years, I don't see anyone tempted to buy. Because this is a straightforward truth, what everyone is worried about most in the past 2 years should not be the issue of housing prices, but the issue of work. You can see that in the past 2 years, every year, even this year, it has been very difficult for these college students to find jobs. I often watch videos and see that children have graduated for half a year or 2 years, but they still can't find a job or are taking the civil service exam, but just can't pass it. You will find that when house prices go up, it means that all walks of life thrive. At least everyone feels that life still has a future. In the past 2 years, I've seen many friends who did not buy a house say smugly, "Who told you to buy a house?" They lost from $280,000 to $140,000 or even $110,000. Some friends who bought houses with loans finally settled the accounts and owed the bank tens of thousands of dollars after selling the house. This is normal because your house price has fallen, plus the loan interest. It's normal to owe the bank tens of thousands of dollars. It is very difficult for young workers to find jobs nowadays. Alas, I didn't find a job today, so I live in the park. I can't afford the rent now, so I'd better go to my 2 fellow villagers. They still have the resources. I just called them and they have already rented a house. Now I can just take my luggage and go there. I rented the same house as yesterday, 3 beds for $7, and they paid me $1 each. This house is okay. There is a water dispenser outside and a place to shower, so I managed to hold on today.
今天算是扛住了，买2个包子吃吧。
I come here now to buy 2 steamed buns. Sir, please give me 2 pork buns and 2 eggs. Brothers, it's so expensive. 2 steamed buns and 2 eggs cost $1, and it's too costly, and I can't afford it.
扛不住了。 吃饱没事干，睡觉了睡觉了。
I'm full and have nothing to do. I'm going to sleep and continue looking for a job tomorrow.
明天接着找工作。
昆沙这座城市如今
The city of Kunshan has changed now. Finding a job in the city is not as easy as before. The disappointed people have chosen to leave. Only those who are still unaware of the situation are still coming here.
不知道的情况的人还在纷纷